So how are you feeling about your list?
Oh, it's ir- irrefutable. It's immutable.
Irrefutable.
Yeah, it's my list is the same as yours. The 10 best Jokers, hands down.
Oh, are we doing 10 best or 10 favorite?
That's what I said.
Okay. Okay, okay, okay.
Do you wanna start or do you want me to go first?
I'm ordering my list right now. Like I had the 10 and I'm
Okay.
just fixing the order, but go ahead. You start.
Okay. Let me push this button. Boom. Okay. Number 10 on my list, Burnt Joker.
Okay.
I think
Tell it to me.
I think Burnt Joker is a deliriously fun time. I like the idea of, oftentimes I get in a situation where one hand already wins, and so you just get the one hand and then that's it. What I like about the Burnt Joker is it gives me an incentive to go for two hands in a round. And so what I like to do is I like to play hands as discards, saving my discards, and then I draw a straight, throw away the straight.
Mm-hmm.
and then use my discards to get the straight on the last hand.
It creates, I think similarly, because I told you this, I was telling my chat this, that the Kano record was like the most fun I had in forever.
Yeah.
I feel like Burnt Joker gives you that same sort of like satisfying strategic, like there's something more to this run, but it's fun to do.
Yeah. It's a side quest. It's a mini game, but it's a
Yeah.
compelling mini game. Or, if you are doing just like high card or pair, it's still kind of fun to just discard one card and then see the number go up. Like, it's just fun to see the number go up.
I mean, why? That's how all of our streams work, right? They just want to see the number go up.
Yeah. And so I think on the list here I've got a couple scaling jokers. I think you'll agree with.
I'm probably. All right. Number, or do you want to say anything more to Burnt?
I don't know. I feel like it's self-explanatory.
Okay, good.
It's
Number 10.
high risk. It's like medium risk maybe, and that's another thing that I enjoy about it. I think it's lower risk than like Obelisk is, and where Obelisk is annoying, then Burnt Joker is not too bad.
Yeah.
It's easy to pivot in and out of Burnt Joker. Like when you realize that you don't need it anymore, then you're just like, all right, I'm out.
Or you just never get rid of it. You get a nice little natural negative. You play that game the whole time.
The negative Burnt Joker is not my favorite. I'll give that one up. It's so pale and bright.
It's a weird looking one. It's kind of scary, but I guess it should be.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Number 10 for me is it kind of had to be here type of thing. But that doesn't mean I don't love it. And it's Mr. Odd Todd. I think it's a fantastic chip joker that has a little bit of the mini game of utilizing odd cards, which maybe you don't typically use on all your runs. The aces, definitely not 9s and 7s, but the 5s and 3s. It's just a really solid early chip joker. There's not a ton of them in there. I enjoy playing it. It's always kind of been a meme on my channel. The fact that it now gives 31 chips is ridiculously satisfying. All in all, I think since the day I started playing Balatro in the demo till today, I still use the crap out of that card in the early game. And yeah, it's not fancy. There's nothing more to it. It's just a solid chip joker that I actually find fun to use.
Yeah, I think it's way more fun to use than like Blue Joker or even like the Gelato, where you just get free chips and it doesn't really matter what hand you play. Whereas like Todd, you have to actually think about it a little bit, and I think that's more fun. I think the 31 is cute. I think it's cute that Todd is like giving a little wink, and he's got like the one palm on his hat, whereas like Steven has two. Like that's kind of fun that there's two of them.
Yeah.
If you compare it to the Scholar, you get 50% more chips, right? But you give up the molt, and the, you know, 10 chips doesn't necessarily translate into 4 molt, but oftentimes you can get molt, or at least plus molt, from common jokers pretty easily, and like chips is the rare commodity, and so that makes chips more valuable. That makes Todd more valuable, in my opinion, than the Scholar. Well, you know, also Todd can apply to any cards that you play, any odd cards and not just aces, so I think like that's huge.
Yeah, I find odd Todd not normally, but oftentimes guides me into a 3 or 5 run, where I then move to hack. And it's like I'm finding the rare nowadays. It's a little nostalgic back from them. I find it fun to do.
Yeah, definitely it's not something that you need to be successful in a run. Maybe it's something that, you know, falls off later on. You replace it when you start getting enough chips from planet cards. But like as a common that you can pick up early and often, it'll, you know, very much get the job done.
I think we've 07'd Odd Todd more than any other Joker on this channel, because yeah, you often get rid of it, but you're like, damn, it did a good job for a long time.
Hey, I'm hearing reports of the audio is a little bit weird. It sounds fine to me.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, someone says better now? Okay. Sure. Never mind. Yeah, Todd, you know, you said you pick it up very often, and then, you know, it doesn't make it to the end, but it does the thing that it needs to do when it does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
What about, so this is not on my list, but if you think about Smiley Face is +5 molt per face card, and then Scary Face is, you know, plus 30 chips or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, if you think about that, okay, one is 30 chips, the other one's 5 molt. And so I think, you know, then with Steven being 4 molt, okay, it's less molt, but Todd is the same number of chips as Scary Face. And so I think that's like kind of a signifier, like how powerful Todd is. Maybe more powerful than people realize.
That's a good point. I think that's just a really good point.
Yeah. Also, I like that it kind of scales with what hand that you're playing. So if you're playing a low ranking hand like pairs, you get 60 chips. And if you're playing a higher ranking hand like full houses, you get 150 chips. We don't really have too many, you know, other jokers like that. Like we have the page 1 jokers, which give you chips when you play certain hands or whatever, but there is no like scaling there. It's just on or off. Whereas like Todd is a little bit more continuous.
Yeah, no, I think that's part of the reason I like it. Forces me into, I think, just more interesting builds, like 5 of a kind 5s, or a flush house of 5s and 3s.
Yeah, nothing but love for Todd.
No, Pog Todd.
Okay, my number 9 spot is the dagger.
Honorable mention from me, but I knew it would be on your list.
I think it's powerful, you know, being able to just convert money into molt very easily. I think that's very powerful. You can stack it up very high, and you know, it's another one of these like, oh, you like to see the number go up, like that's fun, and it being powerful is also fun. I think also the aspect of sacrificing jokers, you know, random jokers, sometimes even good jokers just for the fun of it. I think these are all great qualities of the dagger.
The sound. The audio is really well done by Thunk on it.
Yeah, because like I love the money sounds, right? There's so many money sounds in the game, but like on top of that, there's also the dagger. The dagger sound.
I think one thing I really like about the dagger is, I mean, I personally like it more than red card, right? Like if we're talking about jokers that turn money into molt, I think dagger and red card are 2 examples of that. I just have more fun with the dagger, even though people point out you do have the interesting aspect as if you want to scale it, you are not going to be able to use all your joker slots that round, right? Because hey, kill the joker, you aren't really going to get a joker unless you have like a judgment or something. to replace it in the middle of a round.
Yeah, it does kind
But I
of like
find that fun.
it does kind of like get in the way of other stuff that you're doing. But like you said, I like the idea of you lose a joker and I have an empty slot. Finding something to fill that slot is exciting. It's like interesting. Oh, let's see what we get. You were saying the dagger sound is really satisfying. How does it?
Yes.
Yeah, Cheeto was saying that all of the sound design in the game is great. You know, from the music in the game to how satisfying like the money sounds and stuff like that. How does the dagger sound compare to the balancing sound of the plasma deck? Which one hits you better?
Is the only one I don't love. I'll be honest.
Wait, you don't love the plasma sound?
I don't dislike it, especially for how much I hear it. I think it's done a good job of not being annoying, but I don't find it satisfying like everything else.
You've heard it too much. It's grating now.
Maybe. But I think I would rate the dagger sound #1 out of all the sounds in this game.
Dagger sound might be #1. Yeah. For me, I do place it above the plasma sound, but I really do like the plasma sound. Though I'm a little bit sad that now I've played with the plasma deck enough times where I kind of just tune it out. I don't even hear it anymore.
No, I haven't heard it in like a month, even though it's been playing. Now I'm gonna notice it. Oh man. All right. I really like your list so far. Number 9 for me is another one that had to be here. Maybe it wouldn't have made the list if it wasn't for the fact that I'm a streamer, I'll be honest, but that's not to take away from it. It's Mr. Space Joker.
Before you said that, I already had my mouse over it. I already knew what you were gonna say.
Now, I'll admit, Burnt Joker is better. Like if we're talking pure gameplay standpoint.
Yeah, however, but Burnt Joker's like it's a rare, right? Like it's gonna be stronger. Do you think
a few things
No, you go ahead.
The things I love about Space Joker: A, art design, beautiful, great job, local thing. 2, any aspect like this is. Now I'm gonna preface this. The reason why people often like are very careful about gambling is because it can be addicting because it gives you a good feeling. But in ways that are harmless, like that feeling's fun. A lot of times, like pack openings, as long as you're responsible and stuff. But regardless, the fact that you have the 1 in 4, the fact that you have a little bit of that gamba aspect to it, it's something I do really like about the Joker. And it's one that's like, at a certain point, it becomes kind of high stakes. It's like, Space Joker, I need you to hit. And it's fun to have that back and forth. I do like the idea of playing a hand to level it up. I like that it can synergize with something like an oops or a blueprint, like to increase the chances of that happening. And I just find it to be one of my favorite Jokers when I am going for those lower difficulty hands. You know, the high card, the pairs, even 3 of a kinds. Yeah, I guess it's the most fun for me when it's in the middle, like a 3 of a kind specifically, where it's like it's a little tough to get. And I maybe need to play 2 of them. And I want it to scale. I don't know. But all in all, I just think it's a really well-designed Joker that's satisfying, and it's a perfect uncommon for me.
Yeah, definitely. If it were 1 in 3, I think it would happen too often.
Yes.
I think 1 in 4 is the right amount, though, still not as often as people want. But maybe, for an uncommon, maybe it's not going to be that often, And it's kind of like free, it rewards you for doing the thing that you're already doing, like you're already playing this hand, and then you get sometimes a little bit extra. And I think, like you said, it's got a lot of cool synergies, dice synergy, like that's interesting, unique, different from like the burglar synergy, that's completely different. And so having all of these synergies available, then like you feel really cool when you find those pieces and you put them together, either as a pair or as the 3 of them together.
Exactly. So all in all, I think again, this is one, it's not the best, but it's fun to play.
Yeah, I agree with you about the like having the random elements in the game. I like having random elements that are low stakes, like low impact.
Exactly.
So like, you know, in the collection next to the spaceman, you got the business card, right? And like sometimes you get the money, sometimes you don't, but you don't feel bad if you don't get the money necessarily.
No.
I guess it depends on how many times you don't get the money, but like in general, like it's not gonna ruin your run if you failed to get the $2 one round or whatever. And it's kind of the same thing with the spaceman, where it's like the chance is low enough to where if it doesn't hit, then that's like the acceptable, that's the status quo. So it's like, oh yeah, it wasn't gonna hit, and so it didn't. But then when it does, it's like, oh yeah, it's happening.
I don't think you could put it better. And speaking of satisfying sounds, like the leveling up sound is really satisfying, but somehow it hits so much harder when it's Space Joker versus, you know, you knew it's coming with a planet card or a bird.
Yeah. I mean, like the spaceman does like a little dance, so you know it's him. Yeah. Or if you got like Blueprint and Brainstorm, you got them all dancing.
Exactly. All right. On to number 8.
Let's see here. Yeah, number 8 for me is, we talked about it already, Cat.
It's a great Joker.
It's so good. You know, it's in the same area as like, okay, scaling Jokers are fun, stacking Jokers are fun. Because it's X-Molt, it's like a Joker that you don't really get rid of, you don't really replace it. It's like, all right, this is the one that's gonna go all the way to the end. And then I think lucky cards themselves are just kind of fun. You know, this chance of getting the big money is like kind of fun. And then the lucky cat just rewards you for doing the thing you were already doing, just playing as many lucky cards as you were going to. And then it feels good to be like, oh, I've made my whole deck you know, lucky cards. I like Jokers where the setup is clear. It's like, okay, if I want to maximize the effect of this Joker, if I want to get this Joker really popping off, then what is the thing that I need to do? Well, I need to make more lucky cards. And then you do that, and then you feel really smart for having done that, and it feels really good.
I think we've talked about this before in like juxtaposition to some of the Jokers we disliked. But it has everything going for it, from the X-Molt, so you don't really ever get rid of it, to the fact that you're benefiting. It makes the good thing more even more beneficial. Like, you get the 20 molt, you get the cash. Now my Joker's also getting better. It has that aspect of randomness that won't kill you, but is nice, especially with the $20, or even oftentimes the 20 molt at that point in the game. The art design's good.
Yeah.
Everything about this Joker's set up to be good.
No, it's so cute.
And to think I hated it. I hated it when the game first came out. But look at us now.
Didn't it get a buff since like
I think
launch?
It got a buff. And, well, the fact that Magic Tarot card got such a huge buff.
Oh yeah, Magician, you can target 2 cards now, 2 lucky cards. Yeah. Understand.
I mean, I could have a whole conversation about, I don't think people in my opinion, that was the biggest buff from the patch. Like, it's massive to go from 1 to 2 cards.
Yeah.
So
now I find myself reaching for the Magician over like the Devil.
Exactly.
Not 100% of the time, but enough of the time that it's like interesting.
Yeah, and before it was, I just would never touch it. Like, to be honest, not because I didn't want to use lucky cards, but because if I'm only getting 1, it's hard to justify.
Yeah. I would use lucky cards if I could get them, but it's hard to get them. Yeah. How do you feel about wild cards? How do you feel about lovers being also 2 wild cards at a time?
It could make the tarot card more viable, but the problem is, again, there is too high a percentage of... We've talked about how the boss blinds are really the difficult part in this game. That's the challenge. Too many of them affect wild cards. And I think in my head, a weird way to make wild cards viable is adding more boss blinds to the game and with future content. Because if you lower the percentage of the amount of boss blinds that affect my wild cards, I would see them as more viable.
Interesting.
But right now, it feels like every other ante I'm running into, all my wild cards are useless. And they can't be enhanced in other ways due to that.
Interesting. Okay, so if it were 3 wild cards at a time, you would still be dissatisfied. You'd be unhappy.
At 3, it's like, it becomes like, this is so powerful, maybe I'll try it and I'll try and figure out the boss blind. But it's still kind of like your whole build is going in a way where, again, 4 of the 20 whatever bosses destroy you.
Yeah. You know, like with face cards, there are the bosses that specifically mess up face cards, and like that feels bad. But I think face cards are very rewarding. Like you can get the photograph is like common and very powerful. You can get the smiley face, +5 per face card is also very powerful. And so it's like, okay, well, I accept the risk because of these powerful synergies that exist. And it's not so much the case with the wild card. You know, like the wild cards, it makes, okay, castle is easier now, the idol is stronger now, or, you know, also the, what is it, Ancient Joker, that's the one that I meant. Ancient Joker's better now. Ancient Joker picks a suit, and then your wild cards can be any suit. Like, okay, that's better. But now there's 4 bosses that debuff every wild card, and that's a lot of bosses.
It would be hard to put this in the game, so I'm gonna give a solution too. I think what would make wildcards viable for me is if it was similar to what it is in a lot of different poker games, which is every suit, and it could be any rank. Now, to do that would be very difficult. So I almost want wildcards to copy the rank of the card to the right of it when you play it. I saw that in a mod, and I love that idea. So it's every suit, and then it also can take on the rank of the card to its right.
Interesting. I don't think Thunk's gonna let it fly.
No, it's too complicated, but...
Well, I don't necessarily think it's too complicated, because like you said, someone, like, coding-wise, you could do it.
Oh, I meant for, like, a player. I feel like it's a lot going on for one card.
So, like, you mouse over the wild card, and it says it, like, counts as any suit. It's, like, 3 words, whatever.
Yeah.
But then, like, having the other thing explain, like, different ranks and stuff like that is, like, complicated for the player to absorb. Yeah. I think also Thunk is really against the straight house.
Oh. I see.
Yeah.
I see.
I think the bosses debuffing wild cards is pretty stinky. I would like the wild cards maybe to not behave that way. Like, that would be nice. Like,
yeah.
One thing that's like kind of stinky is if let's say a spade is a wild card and then the boss debuffs spades, then it doesn't count as spades anymore. And that's sad. You know.
Did that not? I think that's fixed.
Maybe it was just, you know, maybe it was a flower pot or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. But no, I think today during that run I was playing, I had a 5 of hearts that was wild, that still counted for the flush house. But regardless, I actually think that could be the simple changes. It still only takes on what the base suit is in terms of gain affected by bosses. I would then I would start using them.
Or maybe they're just, maybe Wingcap suggested, what if they gain an additional immunity effect? The wild cards. Because like you said, a problem with the wild cards is once you make something wild, then it can't be lucky, it can't be glass, it can't be steel.
No.
It's got to be wild. So what if there was like, oh, they couldn't be debuffed while they're wild, like at all, even if you have like the face card boss or whatever.
I mean, that would be crazy. I mean, that would make them very viable. Yeah. I think it'd also be more fitting of the one, you're changing one card. With the
yeah. So like the ceiling is lower, right? Because it's still you know, if it's wild, it can't become glass or whatever. But then the floor is also higher, right? Because it can't be debuffed. Anyway, that's enough about wild cards. I think wild cards are in a bad place. I think lucky cards are in a great place, and I think the lucky cat is really fun because of that.
All right, number 8 for me. Kenyo, Mr. Kenyo. The only legendary on my list. Spoiler. I think, you know, I can see why I really had to think this one through, because I could immediately see how someone would say it's hypocritical that I like Kenyo and I don't like Hit the Road Jack. Because in both cases, my complaint with Hit the Road Jack, right, is like I'm discarding the card that I'm making. It doesn't feel good. Well, Kenyo is kind of even, you know, more. It's like you're often trying to make the face cards to then delete them. I think that the biggest difference, and when I approach kind of that thought process, is the Kenyo effect is permanent. So yes, you know, I'm making a card that I am then immediately deleting. That does feel a little odd, but if I'm doing it for a permanent buff, it doesn't feel bad. It's also more powerful. It's a legendary. It's giving me ×1 every time I delete one. But I do think that game, when it has a permanent effect, is super fun. We saw how interesting the strategy I felt like was when we went after the record, and I told you I had a ton of fun with that. But I've just been playing with it more in general, and I don't know, I just find it fun. I find it fun deleting the face cards. We did a play along where we got a Kano seed on abandoned deck, and that's super fun. You're trying to make face cards while starting out with none. There's just so many fun ways to play with Kenyo, and it's still powerful enough that you can often win a gold stake run or what have you with it. So I think it's also multi-dimensional in that way. So all in all, I think this one's, personally, I think Yorick and Kenyo are what legendary Jokers should be. It's interesting. It's really powerful. I think Perkeo may be too powerful. Tribulet's a little boring and too powerful. Chakot's a little underpowered. Kenyo's like the other side of that coin. It's like that's why I imagined legendaries were going to be like when I heard they were in the game.
Yeah, I guess I put, you know, if we're ranking the legendaries, I put Ricky at the top, and then Kenyo's number 2. I think the other 3 are kind of boring.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the side mission, the sub quest for Kenyo is more fun, more interesting than Yorick. Yorick is just a little bit too easy to just discard cards, whereas Kenyo, I think, is even more fun on the abandoned deck, because, you know, on the normal 52 card deck, if you get it kind of early-ish, then it just grows too big too fast. And if you get it on the abandoned deck, then you have to figure out, okay, well, how do I add face cards to the deck? How do I create face cards? And then secondarily, how do I destroy them? And that kind of like 2-step process, I think, is an interesting adventure to go on. That's very true. I do want to push back a little bit on the hit the road thing. See, hit the road, people think about it as like, oh, it resets every round, so it's not scaling. But it is scaling in the sense that, like, when you have more jacks in your deck, then you will get your hit the road higher more often, right? So, you know, comparing when you have 10 jacks in your deck compared to when you have 30 jacks in your deck. So it is scaling in that sense. Like the range of values goes up. It is,
but it is often, I think people, including myself, you know, we're talking about like Space Joker's a 1 in 4 chance, right? Well, in a weird way, hit the road, while you are correct at scaling, it is still kind of a chance Joker. Because there's a chance I just don't draw him. And I think, especially when that probability is just not laid out right in front of you, we kind of hate it as players sometimes, because it feels even worse.
Yeah, it's hard to plan around. It's like misprint. It's the X-Molt version of misprint, basically.
I think that's a good way to put it.
And like you can tip the scales in your favor. You can make some adjustments by making more jacks, but you got to make a lot of jacks. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Which is true about, you know, all of these like jokers that care about rank. You know, like Cloud9, you got to do a lot of work to get the 9s. Shoot the Moon, you got to do a lot of work to get even a reasonable amount of queens. Same with Scholar, you know, all of these. But because Hit the Road is rare, then it feels worse when it does nothing. Whereas like these other commons, it's like, oh yeah, but it's a common, so it like doesn't bother me that it doesn't go off.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
All right, Kaneo is a pretty good legendary. It's not going to take the top spot over Ricky though. I'll tell you my number 7 is Hallucination.
Goat.
Okay, so you know, obviously tarot generation is fun with some limitations. So like before I said, you know, I'm not really a big fan of what is it, the Vagabond. The issue I have with Vagabond is it just produces too many tarot cards. It's doing too much. Whereas like Cartomancer gives you like that nice controlled drip of like tarot cards. And then since Hallucination has like the chance element, like sometimes you don't get any and then sometimes you get the double tarot card, like that's huge.
One of the most satisfying synergies is Oops in Hallucination, where it's like every time I open a pack, I'm getting a tarot card.
I forget that every time. I forget, you know, we did a lot of work to create more Oops synergy because it used to be the skip tags were like chance based. And so when we took those out, then we had to add back in new Oops synergy here and there. And like with Hallucination, I always forget about it. You know, we did all this work to create all these, you know, synergies with the Oops all 6s, and then I just forget about them every time.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we've already said just applies to Hallucination. The tarot card generation, it feels the right level. It has an Oops synergy. It has a randomness element to it that can be fun. It works with Blueprint. You can get that double hit.
Yeah, it's the timing of the tarot cards is also cool. You know, compared to Cartomancer. And what I tell people is like when you're shopping, you can open the booster packs, get the tarot cards from Hallucination, and then use them right away, or at least sell them. Or you know, either way, you like know the information, and then after re-roll in the shop for different tarot cards. Whereas like with Cartomancer, if you pick up tarot cards from the shop, you don't get to take them with you, or else Cartomancer is going to be blocked. And like that's kind of that like tension there, that negative synergy is sad. It makes me sad.
It's depressing. Cartomancer, I almost like wonder if the buff could be, you know, creates a tarot card after first hand played, so you could take stuff into the shop or into your round, use it, and then you get it after your first hand played. I don't know if it would be too powerful, but it just feels so bad right now that I haven't used it in like months.
Cartomancer, you haven't used it at all?
Not really. Like once in a while when I really don't have anything else.
Yeah, maybe. If I'm playing just like normie runs or whatever, then I like to get mostly value generators. I like to, you know, play this game of how many value generators can I take and how long can I keep them without having any scoring jokers.
I feel that.
And so like if Cartomancer is the 8th best one, I'm still gonna take it.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I am with Shoot the Moon. All right, number 7 for me. Shout out M. Night Shyamalan, Ding Dong. We got the Sixth Sense. I have turned a new leaf with it. I talked about this in my updated tier list. Moving from rare to uncommon was perfect, I think, for it. I love the value generation of spectral cards because spectral cards, they're actually not all good. I think some of the worst consumable cards in the entire game are spectral cards, but the best ones in the game are also spectral cards. So I like that high risk, high reward. I like the fact that it does a deletion element, so it works almost like a trading card in some aspects. Um, I like that it is one of the two ways that you can actually get a spectral into your consumable slot. Obviously, the biggest benefit there is per KO, but there's some minor other ones. All in all, I think it's a really fun time. It's a really fun value generation. It kind of has that dual purpose. I'm a Sixth Sense boy.
How dare you?
And Seance, honorable mention.
How dare you? How dare you compare this to the trading card? How dare you try to like bait me with this card deletion?
It does what trading card does. It does the exact same thing, at least for 4 rounds.
No, that's what makes Sixth Sense annoying. Is like once I use it twice, then now it's hard to get the sixes.
I mean, then you maybe from the cryptid you got from the spectral, you make more sixes.
Ah, I see. You use the sixes to get the cryptid, you get the more sixes.
Exactly.
It's just a loop. I think for me, I mean, we talked about this a lot before when I said, you know, Sixth Sense is, for me, one of the less fun ones. And I guess part of that is just how much variance there is with the spectral cards. You know, there's a lot that you don't want.
Exactly, that's true. I think if it was a little bit more balanced, it'd be even higher on my list. But I do think there's a lot of spectral cards that feel pretty.
I gotta cut you off. You're making me mad.
Kamarov says, "Chat, should we really be listening to this white state gamer?" And I will admit, like, my list of fun, like a lot of these maybe don't work as well in gold stake, but I think most things don't work as well in gold stake. That's why it's gold stake. But yeah, I don't really dip into the Sixth Sense as much once you get into the final difficulty of the game.
I see. So
Although, if I get it early, I do really like Sixth Sense early, even on gold stake, because you can get a Ouija, and that makes that run a lot more simple. You can get a deja vu that you put on, you know, a gold card. You can put on a lucky card. You can put it on so much.
Like Sixth Sense could give you immolate, but you know, there's like
could give you.
There's 12 other. What is it? Is it 12 or is it 16? There's like 16 spectral
16.
cards.
Yeah.
All right.
It can give you incantation, then you challenge yourself to somehow win.
How dare you? No, number 6 on my list is the Giga Chad.
Yeah, that's one that I accidentally left off. So I'm glad you put it on there. I knew it would be.
Oh, you left it off accidentally?
Accidentally.
Wait, that means you put Canio above the Giga Chad. Where would you have put it on your list if you remembered to put it on your list? Is it like in the top 5?
Right where
or is
you put it.
The bottom 5?
Oh, it's right. It's either right in the middle. It would be like 6 or 5.
Okay. Yeah.
But me and Chad, we have a difficult relationship ever since the brunch thing. He drank too much. Anyway, go ahead.
There's just so much synergy that's possible, and like that tickles my brain a little bit, you know. Like even you know, the photograph is very common. You could get the photo chat combo, and then it's like, oh, I'm a genius. Look at us go. It makes gold seals kind of fun, where sometimes they're maybe less fun. It makes lucky cards feel great.
It makes hiker feel fun.
Yeah. 8 ball. It makes 8 ball less terrible. It's just a feel good Joker. It's just, it gives you whatever the thing that you're doing. It gives you more of that one thing, and you know, it's not like Hack or Sock and Buskin where you have to have a lot. You only need the one, and then it just re-triggers the first one.
Yeah.
Which is cool for a common that just you see it all the time, and then it's strong enough that you can hold on to it till the end if you want.
You know what? I didn't forget to leave it on. Until Thunk on Amber Acorn, when it is flipped over, gives me a hole in the back of it, it will not be in my top 10 list. Too frustrating.
I want I want the punched out stencil. I want the punched out Giga Chad.
Yes, exactly.
I want the burnt Joker. I want to be able to see through it. I want to be able to see the holes.
There's only a few of them. It wouldn't ruin the game. There's just a few of them that'd be really fun to know and be like, ah.
Have you done the challenge where all the cards are face down, all the Jokers are face down, all the booster packs are face down?
I haven't done that one yet. That did look very fun though.
Do you have it installed?
No, I have to, because Windows Defender keeps deleting everything. I have to restore it every time.
Because I was gonna suggest, hey, we should do that after this.
Oh, it doesn't take too long to install, but I do have a hard out at 5 today.
Okay, yeah. We'll see what we have time for.
All right.
What's your number 6?
I had to be thematic. My number 6 is Oops All Sixes. Because oops, it's number 6. This,
Understandable.
again, maybe it's not the best Joker, because a lot of times it does feel like it's a little bit of a make the run even better. But there are times I find it very useful, even in a higher stakes run. But all in all, increasing your chances, it feels like you get to go into the video game and you know, hack it a little bit and cheat for yourself. That's what it really feels like you're doing with Oops All Sixes, and it's such a fun idea for a card. And we just said how many synergies it has, and I think you on the testing team, Thunk on the development team, everybody involved did a great job of finding the right number of synergies where it doesn't feel insane, but it feels really fun. And there are some negative aspects like the glass cards, but it makes hallucination ridiculously fun. It gives you that little boost on Space Joker. It makes business card make the sound a lot, which we all love. It makes lucky cards and you know, your lucky cat run.
It's funny,
incredibly satisfying.
Yeah, it's funny that like so many elements in the game that I really enjoy are compatible with the 6s, but then I forget that 6s is a thing that I can do. I always just forget about it. Even though, like you said, it's compatible with hallucination and lucky cards and
Reserve
business
parking
cards and stuff like that. I think it's really cool that it turns 50% chance becomes 100% chance. Like, that's very understandable. You know, as a player, it's like, oh, it's 100%. That's huge.
All in all, very well designed Joker, very fun, and I think a word that you're gonna keep hearing us say through our favorite Jokers is that satisfying feeling of it's enjoyable. It feels like, you know, whether you accomplished something or did something cool, like that's what Oops gives me. So,
yeah.
Number 6.
Cheetah says they don't enjoy, it feels like 6s, you know, is dead weight. So maybe like what are your favorite uses of the 6s?
So early on with that value generation, with any of the ones I mentioned, business card, reserve parking, hallucination, like it truly, it doubles the value of that Joker. So it's almost like you have 2 of them, right? Or even, I would argue, maybe even more valuable than 2 of them, but statistically it's like having 2 of them.
Yeah. That's how I feel about it too, and that's, you know, my favorite synergies as well. Is like, take any of these money generators, 6s gives you a second copy. So at minimum, 6s is just like generating like $5 to $10 every round. Or like if you play, you know, 3 or 4 wild cards, or 3 or 4 lucky cards, then 6s represents like $4 every round on average, which to me feels like good enough to justify its existence. And this is like not including like you can snowball and you can like build additional synergies on top of that.
Bloodstone.
Well, we don't. Well.
Okay, and the reason why I say that is like, there's a difference between having 2 copies of Bloodstone, or even again 2 copies of Hallucination, and having Bloodstone and Oops. And the difference there, and the reason I like it, is there's a risk reward, right? Especially with Bloodstone, where we were talking about scoring and, you know, you're playing your hand to win. They both could not hit, or they both could hit every single time. But if I have Oops, I know it's hitting every single time. Like, there's again,
Yeah.
it's in the middle. There's less risk and reward, but it makes these jokers, I think, that we're talking about just the viability, it makes them more viable at higher stakes.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah. Because, it's just like you said with the Bloodstone. The problem is, like, if I know how big it's going to be, like if it's 100% chance to be like 1.2 times or something like that, then I can plan around it. I can plan accordingly. But if I don't
Yeah.
know, if I have 2 Bloodstones, then I don't know if it's going to trigger 3 times or if it's going to trigger 7 times. On average, it'll be close to 5, but it could still be 4. And like the difference between 4 and 5 is like 50%. Like that's a big deal. That could be fatal, right? And
Yeah.
then, like you said, the 6s creating this consistency, this guarantee is like game changing. It takes this thing that's like very dangerous and then making it completely safe and then therefore powerful.
Brooksley says it's also hilarious that it makes the wheel double its chances of cards getting drawn face down. And that's just a funny
That's
thing.
my favorite synergy of the 6s.
It is.
Is the face down, 2 and 7.
All right.
All right,
Number 5.
my number 5 is the bean.
Oh man, right, number 11 on my list. So same ballpark.
Well, shame on you. So it feels like cheating, right? It feels like, oh, I have
It does feel like
all of my cards in my hand. It's not literally all of them, but that's what it feels like, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, whatever kind of poker hand I was looking for, there it is. Whatever kind of there's so many held in hand effects, steel cards, gold cards, blue seal cards, even just being able to hold on to a whole hand of 5 and then discard a whole different 5 to redraw. Like, hand size is powerful, and then the bean is over the top hand size.
Yeah. All right. Can I explain why I have it outside the top 10?
Okay, go on.
This is to plead the thunk, when looking at expandable content. I would love the way that Oops synergizes with things that are randomly or have randomness. A Joker that synergizes with all the consumable Jokers that can either refill them or slow them down or something of that nature. Because this is me. This is a personal thing. In my brain, I hate knowing there's an end to this. With seltzer, with turtle bean, with popcorn. Even just the existence of a Joker that's like free refills, right, is the name of the Joker. And it fills my turtle bean back up from 2 to 5. Or something. I don't know. Like, that doesn't really work as a Joker, but I don't know. I think just the fact that there's a lack of any synergies with these. Like, I get the point is they're really powerful at the start and they go away. And I think, if I'm really honest with myself, this is a very personal thing with just the way my stupid, instant gratification brain works, or planning maybe, that I don't like to plan for something going away. But that's the only reason it's lower.
Okay, well, Cheetah has an idea. You could make it like the cola, where when you sell the cola, you get the double tag. You sell the refill, and then it refills whatever food you have on hand.
See that. Even the existence of that Joker, all of a sudden I'm taking turtle bean a little bit more. I'm taking popcorn more because I'm like, ooh, that'd be so fun to do.
Yeah. No, I think this design space. CC saying for temporary Jokers is really interesting. I think we can do. Right now we just have the simple ones because already like the decay process is like kind of complicated. So there's like the plus malt from the popcorn, there's like the plus chips from the gelato, and then the hand size from the bean. There's definitely space for more interesting perishables and like temporary decaying Jokers, and there's more space for these kind of like, oh, you buy it and then sell it, like the luchador and the cola and the invisible Joker. There's more space for, I don't know, you sell it, it does a thing. So it's kind of like a consumable card.
Yeah, I really like the idea too because you can hold on to it and be like, "Ooh, I found the bean, so now I'm gonna hold on to my, again, let's just call it like refill Joker, and then I sell it when it's down to 1, or I find a good Joker, so I sell it when it's down to 2, and I get it back up."
Yeah, I think the one thing you got to be slightly careful about is you don't want to step on the toes of the like other consumable cards, like tarot cards and spectral cards.
Yes.
And I think Luchador does a good job of like, oh, this is a weird, different thing, and so it makes sense that it exists as a Joker. And the same thing with the Invisible Joker. Well, Invisible is kind of like the Ankh, but different.
Yeah, it's like an Ankh.
All right, what do you got at number 5?
I got Hallucination, which we already talked about. I just have it higher up on my list.
Okay, you put it a little bit higher than me. I put the Chad above Hallucination. As much fun as it is to get the tarot cards, it is, just a drip of tarot cards. Whereas like when I have the Chad, I feel it more. I feel like.
Fair enough, but it just hits. It makes Paco. It's like it's when they realized in the 1920s to put bubble gum in trading card packs.
Yeah. I mean, that's
they're like,
what
oh,
it
I
is,
get a little
right?
bubble gum with it. That's what Hallucination is. It's so great.
Yeah, definitely Hallucination I take earlier than Chad. Definitely I hold on to it longer than Chad. I like play Hallucination way more than the Chad. But when I have the Chad, it feels really good for the time that I have it. Whereas like Hallucination is hard to really register the cumulative effects of all the tarot cards you're getting. It's hard to keep track of that.
I will say, and this is like if Thunk sat down with me, he's like, give me your like 5 ideas for the game in the future. What you'd want to see. Like playing Slay the Spire and seeing the run stats after, like the in-depth of everything you did, having that in Balatro would make Hallucination even more fun because being able to see like, ooh, I got these tarot cards from, Hallucination. Obviously sounds very complicated, but it would, I don't know, maybe it's just a nerd thing because me and you are nerds, but I'd sit down for hours just reviewing runs, looking at what generated what.
Hey, guess what, my guy? We
What?
got that. We got that technology.
Oh shit.
Nasty already did it. And so you can see.
Oh yeah,
like,
I saw he's working on the counting.
yeah. So, if you got like, oh, my parking or my business card, it'll tell you how much money it's made this run. If you've got Hallucination, it'll tell you how many tarot cards you've made this run.
There we go. And I'm sure your stuff we can build off that data too. And
Yeah.
export it,
No, I
so-
think it's cool for science, to just find out. I think it's cool for just like a learning tool. And then so like you can see in your runs how impactful your jokers are, and then that can inform your future joker decisions rather than just going on vibes.
I fear that I would use Space Joker even less. So
You get the report card and it tells you, oh, it only worked 3 times this run, and then you were like, all right, now I'm justified, but also sad.
yeah, exactly. Oh, all right. Number 4 for you.
Number 4 for me, pants.
Oh, it's a good one. That one, I would say like that's in the 10 to 15 range too. Great one.
What is on your list? You missed the pants, you missed the bean.
I didn't miss them. Those ones I thought about and they didn't make the list.
How
Chad
dare
was
you.
truly like, oh.
So of all the scalars, of all the plus mult scalars, the pants is, it's just it's just a good time. It's a side quest. Get as many 2 pairs as you can. It doesn't have to be 2 pair. I think the flavor is cool. I think the art is cool. There's just so much to love about the pants. You get the polychrome pants. It's great.
No, it's a fun mini game. The 2 pair. It's viable in just about all stakes. It's thematic. It's well done. There's not much to complain about. I just don't. +2 pants, literally. Yeah, it's just for me. I guess it just didn't crack the top 10 for fun, but I think, you know, I don't really have an argument against it.
I see.
just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah.
It's not against the pants. It's just like in favor of these other things. These other things have like fun
Exactly.
things to do.
I would say if we expand this list to probably there's like a number like 20 through 30 where it's like all of these I could probably make an argument for top 5, honestly, because there's so many fun things in this game. But the mechanic here is perfect.
I like jokers that give me a thing to do. They give me a mission. They give me a task. And I like the simplicity of it. I like that the pants is, you know, not one of the more complicated ones. Like even the burn joker is like a little bit complicated. Like
and
the surface level with the burn joker is like okay. Your first discard, right? And it's like okay, whatever's in my opening hand, I'm gonna discard it, and then I get these random upgrades or whatever. But like the next level of being able to control your first discard by using your hands instead, like that's kind of twisty, and I do enjoy that. But I prefer the simplicity of the pants.
I also like, and I think I mentioned this in a different Joker, anything that kind of pushes me towards hands I don't normally play. So 2 pairs, flush houses, a little bit more complicated and maybe not as worth it if you're just thinking the game on a very surface level. But with pants, it's like, it's a fun thing to do, to find 2 different pairs of cards. And no, 4 of a kind is not 2 pairs. That's not how that works. That's not 2 pairs of 2 different cards. But
no, definitely. For me, full houses not very common for me.
Nope.
2 pair is actually decently common for me if I'm playing on the gold stakes. It just like gets the job done. I really like flush houses. I prefer that over you know, flush 5s, and so like that being compatible with the pants. I like with the pants that you can play 2 pairs to level it up a few times and then end with a full house. And whereas like if you're using the runner, usually your 1 straight that you play already ends the round, and you don't get to play a second straight. You don't get to level it up twice.
No, I that's the reason why runner isn't here. The good joker, solid, but there's no fun way to scale it.
Yeah. It's strong. It's a good joker, but it's not the most fun. The runner.
No.
I'll concede that point. Though it's in my top 20.
All right, number 4 for me.
Yeah.
Now, this would be number 1 if someone didn't steal the record from me. But Wii Joker. God dang, is that Joker fun? I mean, when it came out,
who would have the audacity, the absolute gall?
Well, apparently like 7 different people that one week. It was like everyone decided that week that it's like, you know what? Zaino's had this record for way too long. It's not that good.
It's time.
There's like a 30k, a 40k, a 50k, and then you're 80k. But let's start like on the surface level. Aesthetics. It's adorable. It's literally a Wii Joker with the 2s. Fantastic job, Thunk. On a little bit deeper of a gameplay level, I love the fact that it is a scaling chip Joker that I have fun playing. Not that I like hate Castle, but I just find the game of making 2s, of trying to utilize 2s to increase the chips, a fun game.
2s don't, you know, get a lot of mileage otherwise, right?
No. I think there's something interesting in the juxtaposition that 2s only give you 2 chips. Like, it's so little, so you don't use it early game. And the fact that Wii Joker's giving you +8 if you play the 2s. I like the fact that, again, similar to other things, Todd, it's giving another synergy to hack. Like, I get it, these cards are not going to be as powerful as face cards, but there's a way to make them viable, and you can actually play with them in the late game. Yeah. I think maybe it's a little nostalgia. It's just a lot of fun on the channel with Wii Joker, but that's what this list is about. I've had a legitimate, like, tens of hours of funds due to this one Joker.
Yeah. No, it's cool that it's just the regular Joker. It's just Jimbo, but then shrunk down. Like, that's funny.
Yeah.
It's cool that, you know, you get to use twos, which, you know, otherwise you might not favor very much. I think that's cool. At the same time, when you are using twos, you get to use the hack, which, you know, itself maybe you don't use all the time, or at least I don't use all the time. You know, it seems like, you know, there's so much incentive to use the Baron, of course, so you go for the face cards.
Yeah.
Also, there's other incentives to use face cards, like Smiley Face is pretty strong.
Even Scary Face is, you know, it's Odd Todd basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just you get to stack it up. You get to go big with the Wii. Get the big Wii, even if it's not the biggest Wii. Even just a little bit big Wii is kind of fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
Playing with your Wii is always going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's just the way of the world. All right, number 3.
My number 3 spot is Riff Raff.
Okay, that one not on the radar for me, but
Damn.
probably White Steak Andy over here doing a lot of record runs, doing less Gold Steak. That's probably why it wasn't on the forefront of my head.
Powerful, and
it is.
You know, maybe that's part of it, but I think for me, part of the fun is the design of the card. Like, the look of the card is really fresh, different from other Jokers. It's got like a cute little guy, and it's like tessellated, so there's you know, a bunch of copies of the same guy. What I really love about it is you generate some Jokers and then you sell them for money. So, like, already it's a money generator. That's already fun for me. That's already enough. But then on top of that, you can just keep cycling through your Jokers, randomized Jokers, and I think that part is really fun, to just get some stuff and then try to play around it, whatever stuff you get.
I have no arguments here. I think it definitely became from just like it was already a powerful viable Joker, but it went to like one of the most powerful, with the new gold and orange stakes having a little bit more emphasis on debuffing your Jokers with the tags, and the fact that Riff Raff negates that because you don't get tags out of it. Correct?
Yeah, you get them clean, naked Jokers.
Nice and clean. It feels good. The ceremonial dagger Riff Raff games, always a fun time.
Yeah, but then it's like, it takes up a lot of space. It's a little bit cramped.
It does. I think that's a fun. I did that as like a challenge one time, because it's like, yeah, that's 2 of your spaces taken up and you're destroying one. But it's fun.
Yeah, that's another one of our community challenges that you might need to try if you haven't already, where you start with a negative Riff Raff, and then there's no Jokers in the shop. So you get only commons, which I think is already kind of interesting, and then you get only randomized commons from Riff Raff.
I watched you play that. I gotta do a lot of these challenges. I'm excited. Maybe I'll sit down on a stream.
Yeah, they're all fun. Well, some are more fun than others, but most of them are good fun, and I think the Riff Raff is one of my favorites. The Riff Raffle is what it's called.
It's also fantastic.
I think Riff Raff is also fun. Drizzle is saying, you know, it kind of gives you a direction. So a lot of the common Jokers, they tell you what you could be doing. They're like, oh, why don't you try doing this? Why don't you try playing spades? Why don't you try playing straights? Or something like that. And so, like, Riff Raff, being able to generate a lot of Jokers very quickly, very early, you can cycle through them and then decide what direction you want to go.
I think I don't like being told what to do. Maybe that's my problem with Riff Raff.
Well, I mean, that's the fun of the Riff Raff is if you get something that you don't love, you can sell it and then replace. You get a new one.
That's true.
All right, what's the number 3 spot?
Can you cover your ears? Number 3 on my list is and this one goes out to your chat, Vagabond.
How dare you?
For
You're lucky you gotta go in 30 minutes.
I understand Doctor may not like the minigame. I think that's just the difference. I love the minigame. I love the minigame of trying to utilize the shop to its fullest every single round to then unlock this stupidly powerful, way too many tarot card Joker. It brings me back to being a kid and playing a sports game where you turn off trade logic, turn on forced trades, and you just like create a stupidly good team just to have fun on a run. And that's what Vagabond is for me. Like it lets me play that, like I can do whatever I want. There's also a fun little mini game that I personally enjoy alongside with it.
So what you're saying is you like playing with the cheat codes enabled.
I don't like doing that all the time, but sometimes it's fun. It's like it unlocks creative mode with my deck. But again, there is a trade-off. I'm not gonna have interest. I'm not gonna have money, but it's fun. So all in all, if we're talking about fun, it makes the run so different than the rest of them because it is so ridiculous. I get why again you don't like it, but I like it.
The Vagabond doesn't take away your interest. The Vagabond enables your interest because the Vagabond gives you gold cards.
That's a good point. It does.
Oh, see, that's bad. I hate that. Okay, I'll say one nice thing about the Vagabond. Okay?
Cool.
So like Perkeo will just copy whatever it is that you want. You just get more of that same thing. Whereas like at least the Vagabond gives you different stuff. And
yeah,
you know, you could sell the stuff that you get, but then usually that takes you over the money cap or whatever. So then you like stop getting tarot cards. So it like low-key incentivizes you to use these random tarot cards and not just throw them away and like think about how you want to use them.
That's what I mean. Like I enjoy all these different aspects, and it creates this really weird. It's like a cheat code that's sending you constant like benefits, but it's like you have to use them. Like figure it out. So then I end up with like 7 wild 5s of clubs and 4 gold queen hearts and bonus cards on the most random things, but I somehow end up playing them. Like it turns into an abstract art piece. My deck.
No, I like my deck to be well ordered. I like it to be controlled. I like to have exactly even number of purples and reds, even number of golds and steel.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Like I got a red seal wild card for some dumb reason. I got a purple seal gold.
What?
You get a blue seal glass of Vagabond.
One thing Vagabond does do is it enables flush houses in like anti-8 runs where maybe flush house is not always viable.
Yeah. It also allows multiple flush houses of different flavors, which you're almost never gonna get.
Yeah, but you totally could.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, my number 2. Okay, try to guess. I'll give you 2 guesses to guess my number 2 or my number 1.
I mean, have you said Ricky yet?
Have I said what?
Yorick.
Yorick is not on my list.
Okay. All right, let me think. Oh, I mean, Banana?
Banana is fun, but also not on my list. My number 2 spot, not number 1, is Shortcut.
Yeah, my chat got that right.
Yep. See, they know.
But yeah, I should have known.
I mean, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful card. It looks even just as good in negative. Not every Joker you can say that. It's a game changer. Being able to play straights with gaps, and being able to. It also enables you to play straight flushes. Like the hard part about playing a straight flush is the straight part, not the flush part. And the four fingers helps you make straight flushes, but shortcut actually helps you make straight flushes more than four fingers does. Though, of course, four fingers helps you make flushes separately, but you don't need help making flushes because flushes are already trivially easy to do. And so, shortcut does more, and then also shortcut makes it really easy to use enhancements, card enhancements like steel cards and gold cards and glass cards, because you can okay, well, it doesn't have to be consecutive anymore. I can kind of spread them out, and if I want to skip over the steel card, I can do that. If I want to skip over the blue seal, I can do that.
It's a great card. It hurts my brain sometimes.
It's a thinker. It's not for everybody. Art's not for everybody. It's okay.
And it's not even that. It's just I'm sure you've had it where you've played with shortcut and then you go the next run or something or whatever. You're like, it just takes you a second to be like, oh my god, I don't have shortcut. What am I doing? But that's not a viable reason not have it on the list. It's a fantastic, fun card, and I agree. The fun aspect of it is off the charts.
I think also it enables you to play straights so consistently that you can be more greedy. You can be more greedy with your blue seals, with your gold cards. You don't have to play as safe with your discards. And if you're allowed to play more greedy, then that's fun. That enables fun.
Yeah. All right. My number 2 might be a little boring of a pick, but it's got to be Blueprint for me.
I get it.
Yeah, you're picking the most powerful card in the game. But again, we'll start top level aesthetics. Beautiful art by Thunk. The way, part of it is because it's so powerful, but its blueness is so beautiful. I'm just someone who likes the color blue. I love the art on it. It always feels good to see it because it is the best Joker, and the adaptability unlocks things and play styles and runs that just would not be possible without it. I think the craziest one is the Burglar. Burglar on its own, it's viable. You could definitely use it, but sometimes it may feel bad. But the fact that Blueprint can copy it and then move over to still be useful in other ways during the run is so fun. I heard you say it probably should be patched out, but the idea of moving it on the Mime at the end of the round to get more money is kind of fun. The idea that I move it on Vagabond for a couple of rounds, I'm so sorry, I get 2 tarot cards, and then move it over to Score. You put on Hallucination in the middle between 2 rounds, and now I have 2 hallucinations. Obviously, these are all reasons why it's very good, but for me, I also find that minigame really fun and rewarding to figure out how to best min-max Blueprint throughout the game. But nothing gives me the dopamine hit like seeing Blueprint in the shop. Literally nothing.
Yeah. No, because it's compared to Perkeo, right? Okay, Perkeo is game breaking, and what Perkeo does is whatever the thing that you want to do is, all right, I'm gonna give it to you 1,000-fold, right? You like death cards? All right, here's a bunch of them. You like cryptid? Here you go. Whereas Blueprint does something similar, right? It doesn't do anything on its own. It's whatever you're already doing. Let me give you more of that thing, but it does it in a more conservative way. It feels right? It gives you one additional of whatever the thing is.
Mm-hmm.
But then also Blueprint is flexible, and like you said, you can kind of move it around. It can do more than one thing in a round, and having a Joker that does more than one thing, that's cool. That's fun. Obviously, it's
I think
powerful. It's perhaps overpowered, you know, but that's fun.
that's the best way to put it. And like Thunk said, he wants Jokers to do one thing, and it's like the fact that Blueprint's one thing is to do everything. In a weird way, it's a one opportunity for us as Balatro players to have that in a Joker. And yeah, it's probably overpowered, but god dang it, is it fun?
Yeah. No, I get it. Blueprint's
All right.
not
Number
my,
one.
my number
Go ahead.
one is.
I can say it for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mail-in rebate.
Nah.
What?
No, my chat will guess it. All right, chat.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you 5 seconds. What's my number one pick? All right, they got it. It's trading card.
Oh, oh my god, I forgot. I'm shocked Mail-in rebate didn't make the top 10 though. But let's talk trading card.
Yeah, melee rebate, like, it's just powerful. It gives you money, like, it gives you a lot of money. If it was $3 instead of $5, it wouldn't be as fun. Like, you wouldn't be as pogged out about it.
Correct.
Though it is kind of fun to, you know, kind of like with the idol. The idol, you have to do all this work, and then once you've done the thing, then you get rewarded with all this X mult or whatever. And so the rebate is kind of like that. You do the work, you do the due diligence, you have only one rank in your deck, and now you get rewarded, you get paid. And that feels good to discard 5 and then get paid 5 times at a time. But I think, you know, more often, trading card is always something that I want.
Yeah.
I think, you know, for me, just having low number of cards in the deck, having few cards in the deck, having complete control over my draws, then I can afford to be greedy. And so, like, you know, what happens if you draw a straight, but you haven't yet drawn your blue seal? Okay, the correct thing to do is throw away the straight that you drew, knowing that you can get another different straight. I think that's wonderful. I think being, like, getting to the point where you get to see 100% of your deck every round and then can play accordingly with perfect information, that's huge. That's game changing.
I feel like such an ass doing this on your number one, but I think for me the reason why trading card isn't so high anymore is I feel like there's so many other ways in the game I've found ways to thin my deck out.
Okay, I mean, there are other ways to do the same thing. You know, you get the tarot generators, you generate the hung man or whatever.
That.
But it's consistent. It's every round, and you just snap off one at a time, and none of the others give you, like, the money sound when you, like, snap it off. That's so satisfying.
It is, and again, art. I mean, every Joker in this game is so well done, but this one, chef's kiss.
Yeah. You know, the art is great. The effect is powerful and also satisfying to remove a card. Like, oh, what am I going to delete? This sucker. Get out of here.
My poor twos if I don't have Wii.
Yeah, I really love just being able to say goodbye. Just like, I don't want to see you ever again.
I love it. No, yeah, I'm mad at myself for not guessing that one.
Trading card goes with me, you know, even on gold stake, trading card goes to the final boss every time. Against the final boss, I will delete another card.
Why not?
Yeah. Why
not? Yeah, I would say before I get to my number, well, we'll save this for after. The most surprising one's not on your list. I have a couple. Number one for me, it's anticlimactic because we already talked about it. It's Lucky Cat. That is my favorite Joker in the game. Right now.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think, again, not the same dopamine rush as Blueprint when I see it in the shop, but that mini game, I don't think anything beats it. I don't think anything beats the new Magician card where it's like I get to make 2 lucky cards at a time. I get to play this fun game of how do I get them to trigger. Do I, get a blueprint to copy? Well, you can't copy oops, but copy something that re-triggers my lucky cards, or do I find an oops, or what have you? And this whole time, Lucky Cat, in the same way of hallucination, it's a slow drip, right? It doesn't go from ×1 to ×5 in one round. It's slowly, and then all of a sudden you look up, it's like, oh, it's at ×4, oh, it's at ×6, and the whole time everything about the lucky cards is satisfying. So it combines so many different elements of Balatro and kind of ties a bow on it in a perfect way that I don't think is matched. It's the most fun I have. They are the most fun runs.
Yeah. And I like the thing you said about kind of tying together a lot of different elements in kind of a cohesive way. Maybe that's what I really like about the trading card is it has the same end game effect that Vagabond does. It's a little bit slower than Vagabond, but it does it in such a clean way of just like...
It is a clean Joker.
Yeah, you just delete one, you get the money. You don't even need to give me the money. If you just delete a card every round, that's already fun for me.
I mean, fair enough. So how did Bull not on the list either? No go Bulls?
Sorry, what's not on the list?
Bull.
Oh, I mean the Bull's okay. It's fun for me. It is fun for me to hoard resources and hoard money. So the Bull and the boots and stuff like that. I think I, gave a little bit more weight to the Jokers that just do more or have more going on. So rather than passively getting money for the boots, actively getting plus molt from the dagger, or actively playing the pairs for the pants. I think those are for me more engaging.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's how I try to approach the list too.
Yeah, just like with the Lucky
Well,
Cat. It's so much harder than Constellation, but it's worth it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, compare the cat to Constellation and Hologram and what's the other one? The Vampire. What other kind of X-Molt scalers are there? Uncommon scalers. Glass doesn't count, it's not a real Joker.
I guess in a weird way, baseball cards kind of can scale.
Yeah, I wouldn't really consider it scaling though. I think it's either 1, 2, or 3.
That's true. Whoa, black deck. Come on, 4.
Oh yeah. No, I really like getting the baseball card with trading card and shortcut and pants and gift card those and B and I
That's
really like those. There's just so many good uncommons that I enjoy. Yeah, I think if you were to rank them power wise, I think Constellation is at the top for the planet cards. I think the Vampire is below Constellation, but it's above, what is it, Hologram. But then, in terms of engagement, I think the cat blows them all out of the water, as in it's more fun than all of them.
Exactly. Yeah, it's I could just add cards to my deck, which I do find Hologram fun. Or I could just, open all the planet cards or get Astronomer and have that kind of fun synergy. Or I could deal with the Vampire, constantly removing all the fun enhancements that you're meant to play with. As you can see, I'm not a huge Vampire fan. But Lucky Cat's just hits.
Yeah. Honorable mention to baseball card. Didn't make either of our lists.
It's a good one. I mean, Seance didn't make either of our lists. That's kind of crazy.
Man, making straight flushes is just too complicated. I do straight flushes for points. That's fun for me. But once we got the blue seal, now we got the buff blue seal, now straight flushes I haven't been doing anymore. Because my straights are already too high level. It doesn't make sense to pivot.